valuable non-quarterback in the NFL was Christian McCaffrey. I mean, Kyle Shanahan is regarded not only as a great coach, but his system now is working virtually everywhere. The Saints now, the surprise team of the NFL, use his system. Miami last year, use his system. He has a losing record without Christian McCaffrey. But I may have found somebody that's even more valuable. And for years and years, I called wide receivers icing on the cake. You can eat cake without icing. It can make good very good. But you're not, if the cake is bad, the icing can't save it. Right? Like, even with carrot cake. And that's the best icing. But look at these numbers. A.J. Brown's impact on Jalen Hurts' career, including the playoffs. When A.J. Brown is connected and playing with Jalen Hurts, he is Patrick Mahomes. He's 28-8. He'll get to Super Bowls. When A.J. Brown's not there, he is slightly better than Justin Fields with the same passer rating. It's insane. Basically, Jalen Hurts wins like Mahomes with A.J. Brown. Remember, A.J. Brown is a rookie, went to Tennessee. They were number 1 seed. 1,000 yards rookie. He left. They've never been the same franchise. They've never been the same franchise. Philadelphia scores 28 points when A.J. Brown's on the field. 15 when he's not. Again, that's the Justin Fields Bears. And a lot of these wide receivers make noise. Stephon Diggs does. Bills look just fine without him. Justin Jefferson. Vikings are 5-2 when he doesn't play. Sunday, Sam Darnold. Without him, Jordan Addison or T.J. Hawkinson, game-clinching drive. The Chiefs have won 2 Super Bowls without Tyreek Hill. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams leave the Chargers. They're 2-0. They're just fine. A.J. Brown doesn't play in Philadelphia. They're last year's Bears. That's insane. And we all like Jalen Hurts. I'm not saying he and Justin Fields are the same. Just the numbers are. The passer ratings are the same. I mean, think about week 1. Brandon Ayuk just got this massive contract. Week 1, the Niners rolled supposedly a good defense with the Jets. Ayuk, his most notable moment, he dropped a touchdown pass. He had no connection to the outcome. No impact on San Francisco scoring. None. Had 2 catches. So it's just like, I think, we talk overrated, underrated. We've always known T.J. Watt is really important for the Steelers defense. We all know that. We know McCaffrey's incredibly valuable. And we also know starting quarterbacks are. There's an argument, A.J. Brown is the most valuable. The Titans, it's not just what he's delivered in Philly. The Titans have been a disaster offensively since he left. Cannot figure it out. They've changed coaches. Got Mike Vrabel fired. They've changed everything. Quarterbacks, coaches. It's all connected to A.J. Brown. Remember how Mike Vrabel reacted when they let go? Remember that? When they let go of A.J. Brown. And Mike Vrabel's not a guy, he goes to the podium, big tough guy, doesn't get real emotional. When they let go of A.J. Brown, Mike Vrabel basically came to the podium and he's like, it was like losing Brady in New England. Mike Vrabel was like, yeah, this isn't very good. Isn't that crazy? Jalen Hurts' entire career without A.J. Brown connected to it. He's an 84 passer rating. He throws for 148 yards a game. He's 12-20-1.
Okay. We got to put this in context here. First, let me say I 1,000% think that A.J. Brown is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. And 1,000% he is one of the most important players for the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't think anyone can really deny or argue against that, right? And I'm certainly not going to do that here. But these specific numbers we have to put in context. Because first off, Jalen Hurts, his first couple years where he was, like a backup, right when he was like his true rookie year, his backup year, he, was behind Carson Wentz. And I think he maybe ended up starting like 1 game or 2 games. I forget exactly. But he didn't have A.J. Brown. He was a rookie. He was a backup rookie, right? It's not like they went into the whole offseason and preseason with him at the helm and all of that. And so, like, what numbers are we really expecting to do with that? Look at Caleb Williams right now, all right? and look at Bo Nix, quarterbacks that Colin is incredibly high on. So it's just like, let's keep that in context right there. And then when he was a first year starter, he didn't have AJ Brown, and Nick Sirianni was calling the plays, which Colin has called out and said, was awful, and they didn't start to get things going until Shane Steichen was the more dominant force in that offense, and with Jalen Hurts led them to the playoffs. Okay, and then of course now you get AJ Brown. And yeah, you're going to be better because one, Shane Steichen is there now, and he's the one that's taken over that offense, and you add AJ Brown. Of course, your numbers are going to be great. Of course, they're going to be better. When you have Shane Steichen as your coach, you're going to be better. And then when the following year, when AJ Brown was kind of out in the lineup, especially in the playoffs, you don't have the Shane Steichen as your coach to kind of now help overcome those things, as well as the one playoff game Jalen Hurts was injured. So when you're saying like including playoffs, you're including 2 playoff games. One, his playoff game as a first-year starter going against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and 2, you're talking about going up against last year in the playoffs when he dislocated his finger. The whole team collapsed. It wasn't just Jalen Hurts, right? Like the whole team collapsed. They had no idea what they were doing offensively. Terrible OC, terrible play calling. Like even Troy Aikman was like kind of saying, like during that playoff game, he was kind of like, yeah, calling plays are difficult. And Colin even ripped him and said he's not even in the league anymore, right? He's not coaching anywhere. He's not an offensive coordinator anywhere right now. So again, to put that all on Jalen Hurts as AJ Brown is kind of like, I'm not saying that this is what Colin is necessarily saying, but it just like when you look at this, you're pretty much kind of selling the point that Jalen Hurts is only good because of AJ Brown, right? And I just don't think that's entirely true, because we can even say you look at the win-loss record, like Jalen Hurts is not why they lost against the Falcons, for instance. He's not the reason why they lost, all right? In the playoffs against the Buccaneers, he's not the reason why they lost. I'm not saying that he played great or that he played enough to win that game, but like he's not the reason why they lost, right? You can't just say Jalen Hurts was just not good enough and that's why they lost. I just don't think that's entirely fair. And again, of course you're going to be better with AJ Brown, whether from a team perspective or just an individual perspective. You're going to be better with AJ Brown. And again, when you don't have elite coaching to be able to manage the loss of your number one wide receiver, of course you're going to take a hit in numbers. It's just going to happen. Like that's just the way it's going to go. That's just the way it's going to be. And we can say this about all big time weapons for their individual quarterbacks or their teams, especially if they don't have top weapons. You talk about not having Tyreek Hill, but you still had Travis Kelce. Isn't Patrick Mahomes 0-2 without Travis Kelce? I'm not sure if that's 100% correct, but I believe so. So it's like, okay, we could say, oh, Patrick Mahomes only went, he's nothing. He's never won a game without Travis Kelce. It's like, okay, so what does that mean? And he still has Andy Reid. And so I just don't think it's fair. And again, right, you didn't have Jefferson, but you had Addison, who Colin was saying is such an amazing wide receiver that they should trade Justin Jefferson. He said that last year, that they should trade Justin Jefferson. So it's just, we got to be more careful how we're picking and choosing when we want to like use some of these stats to kind of prove a point that we're trying to make. Again, the point that you can prove is that the Eagles and any team is going to be without a doubt better with your number one wide receiver, especially when they are as good and as dominant and as integrated into the offense as AJ Brown. And you could also make the argument that when you're missing an AJ Brown, when you don't have a great coach, a great coordinator who can now work around that, like Shanahan can, like how he was able to do when Christian McCaffrey was down, you're going to be better. So it's just, I just don't fully agree with kind of the narrative that's going to be constructed from this take. And again, I know what Colin's saying because he's very pro Jalen Hurts. He really, really does like Jalen Hurts. But to me, this here is more about the Philadelphia Eagles offense rather than Jalen Hurts. Right. Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown is absolutely Jalen Hurts' favorite target, right? Like they had that connection. They're close friends. They were close friends before he even got to the Eagles, right? Like they have that relationship, no doubt about it. It's undeniable. And also as Jalen Hurts really started to get comfortable in the NFL, it was when AJ Brown was there. So again, it makes sense, but I just don't think that we can use him as, AJ Brown as just the 100% source for all of Jalen Hurts' success, and that without it, he's Justin Fields and is struggling, right? It's the Chicago Bears, as he said. I just don't think that's a fair narrative to put forward. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying that I think that Jalen Hurts is like this unbelievable, transcendent quarterback that no one can stop, and no matter who's around him, he's going to be amazing and this, that, and the third. I'm not making that argument either, right? But it's just like we can go around the league and say, who's Dak without CeeDee Lamb right now this season? And again, you can't say, well, he was this way. What did Dak do before CeeDee Lamb? Because then you could say, well, then you had Ezekiel Elliott. Like, we can always play this game, right? Where if we take away a player, it's like, okay, well, we take away this player. Who did they have at the time, right? Who else was there? Again, Jalen Hurts, before that, I think he had another rookie wide receiver that year, right? With Devontae. So it was just like, there's just too many moving parts to just look at these numbers in two columns, with Brown, without Brown. It's just so much more nuanced than that. It just is. Not to mention, again, the bulk of those games are going to be Jalen Hurts' first year as a starter, with not a lot of weapons on offense, with not a great play caller, with a new head coach in Nick Sirianni. Like, not many quarterbacks are going to be succeeding under those circumstances. They're just not. So I just feel like you gotta you gotta throw those numbers out a little bit. It just I just don't think it's fair. And yeah, I mean, I think when you look at some of these things as well, right, with AJ Brown, and he's like, Jalen Hurts, they're going to the Super Bowl and all of that, right? But here's the reality. When you say that, you could just say with Shane Steichen and without Shane Steichen, right? Like the number, like go look at the win-loss record and the numbers with Shane Steichen and without Shane Steichen. And then you can go to his first year starter. You can look at those numbers and combine that, right? Go do that. When Shane Steichen is officially calling the plays, not just as his OC, because when he wasn't calling the plays originally, I think it wasn't until they had a real bad loss. I think it was actually against the Saints or the Falcons, ironically, I think a couple of years ago, in the second year when Nick Sirianni, I think he did like an onside kick to start the second half or something. I really forget. But I think it was like after that game is when he gave up play calling because he was getting ripped by Philadelphia, by the Philadelphia media and stuff. And then that's when things started to completely turn around. So to me, it's more about Shane Steichen more than anything, because a great offensive mind will be able to mix and match and overcome when you're missing certain pieces, as we see all great coaches do. But to just put it 100% on the quarterback, it's just not fair. I just don't think it's don't think it's really telling the whole story. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love Jalen Hurts and I suppose the Philadelphia Eagles as a whole. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.